Six portion in this time that you've had off, or you back to Tulane specific stuff? How have you split that up?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, playing plays, and obviously the plays are designed for the opponent, right? So what can we do that allows us to, maximize the time, maybe maximize some of the guys that may not have a big role come game day, but still do so in a way to prepare for games. So you kind of filter it in as you go through it. Obviously, got a lot heavier here towards the tail end of this week in terms of almost exclusively Tulane. And then the rep count goes a little bit more in the favor of, call it the varsity, I guess, kind of the ones and twos. But no, I think across the board, I think if you have video of it, it looked like a fall camp. I think it would look like a spring football. I think it would look like a bunch of guys that didn't like the outcome, didn't like the result, didn't like how this thing finished up, and guys fighting, scratching, and clawing, either to, find a role here at the tail end of it, maybe establish a role in the future, and most importantly, guys that want to play their best game on January 2nd.
How tough is it when you have to sit on that game for about a month or so?
Yeah, it's really tough, but that's called life, and that's when you don't get the result, and you don't do a good job as a coach, and you don't get the outcome you want as a player. Then you got to make one big decision is whether or not you're going to get off the ground and do something about it. But to your point, you don't get a chance to do it against an opponent. No one sees anything we've done, right? And so you don't get any credit for that unless you do it on game day. And fortunately, you got one more opportunity, this season against a quality opponent and another team that that moves the ball on an elite level and scores points, and so you're going to be challenged that way. But no, you compete in this sport to have a chance to put yourself in a championship game, and we didn't play a championship caliber, not even close. And I think that hurts. It'll always hurt as a competitor. You'll never get over it, and you'll never forget that game. But one of the messages for the guys is, as professionals and as players in this sport, man, you got to move on. So that's what we got to do.
What was the main thing that stuck with you?
Yeah, but inability us as coaches to get the guys to finish. There's a lot of things that go on, and that's just not one game. But we've talked a lot. I think all of us right here have talked about not finishing games the appropriate way, and talked about the fourth quarter, and we talked about takeaways equal victory. And it sounds, takeaways equal victory, but they did. One opponent is a 3-point game, and they're going in the fourth quarter, and we can talk about anything up until that point. We're going to be happy about the good stuff, mad about the bad stuff, and they are too. It's a 3-point game on the fourth quarter. They got 2 takeaways, we didn't. If we got 2 takeaways and they didn't, what's the outcome of the game? And that's the message. Let's stick to the fact. The feeling is you feel awful, and if you're not careful, you want to point fingers, coaches to players, players to coaches, and all those things. But take ownership in it. We didn't finish, and we haven't done that for 13 games. By and large, it didn't hurt us in 11 of them, and it's hurt us in 2, and that's why we're not champions right now. So it's really disappointing, and sometimes you gotta lose a game to maybe land the message, but championship ball games, you don't get all those opportunities. So I'm very disappointed.
The tackling was a major issue that day. Do you feel like guys are just trying to make too many plays or trying to force things?
Yeah, I wish it was making more. I think if they were trying to make a play, they got them on the ground. I think in some ways just kind of surprised by the football. I think kind of surprised in the moment, that I'm the one that's needed on that play. And that's a constant messaging. We've talked about it. Again, to suggest it was a one-game issue, it's not. It had an impact, on the outcome of the game. And 11 times it didn't, twice it did. And that's the way it goes. And so you get the results that you earn. And we got to have a better appreciation for our role, coaches, players, obviously the 11 guys on the field, and most importantly, the one guy in the field is you. You're the most important part of the puzzle, and that's one of the things really trying to get across to the guys is it's 11 guys playing as one, but you are the most important piece. It could be a safety. The most important play you may make on a day may be a touchdown saving tackle. It may not be a PBU on a play. On a third down or something like that, but or it could be a couple of dropped interceptions. But guess what? You're not going to throw that many to you. You got to catch the ones they throw, and it's hard to do. And I expect those guys to make the next play. But it's also, where's that D lineman getting a hand on the football before the play even happens? We've talked about that as well. Making sure opponents, if they get every play started, it's very difficult to play defense, and just about every play got started that particular evening. So the list is long, it comes back down to coaching. We got to get them to do it. And then, moving forward, and you got to find, if they're not the right guys, then you got to find the right guys to do it. But I think the guys we have in the field are capable of making those plays. I really do.
Let's do one more.
Do you feel like there's anything you can do to teach tackling and finishing better moving forward to?
Yeah, believe me, we don't tell them to not tackle. So we tell them to go low. We tell them to take the extra step. We tell them to come up with a body part. The real emphasis on wrapping. Some of those instances, there's not a tackle attempt, and that's the demoralizing part. Are you really putting two hands on a guy? Are you going for a ride? Are you trying to bear hug a guy? Well, you won't find a bear hug drill, in practice. So in that moment, what you need to be able to do, you got to lock into your techniques and fundamentals, and some of it too is you got to expect to make the play. If some of those are surprise, if you don't have a mentality in that moment, and I'm pursuing to a ball carrier to make a tackle, then advantage that. And as always, if we make a guy miss, USC is supposed to make a miss. If somebody makes us miss, it's technique, it's bad coaching. That's the way it goes. And so what we need to do is make an emphasis of it, continue to emphasize of it. And one of the things that we constantly talk to the guys about is being finishers. And it's not just finish games. You can't finish a game unless you finish a quarter. You can't finish a quarter unless you finish a drive. You can't finish a drive unless you finish a play. And it sounds like coach speak, but guess what? There's a reason it's said so much. You got to finish plays. Have an expectation that you're going to be needed on that particular play. So, no, a lot of it's mentality has been want to, as opposed to just a technique. If we use that great technique, they just fall down for us. It doesn't work that way. You got to be dialed into it, and you got to want to get them on the ground.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.